Guys, it's editing citation. My graphics card could not handle the full video that I just recorded because it was an hour and a half, and I think my other videos took, I don't think I went much past an hour with some of my other videos. There's my cat. He's micromanaging my editing and not very good at it, obviously, because he's sleeping. Anyway, here is part 2 for my reaction to Matt Walsh's first video, and the other video that he did I'll have a separate video for. Yeah, so that's why you get to see a glimpse into my editing studio, and by that I mean basement. And I don't know, okay, you can't see very much. The rest of the back there is messy because I have children. Yep. So I actually like the way that this is my iPhone. I like this camera better than my DSLR. I'm gonna have to figure out how to use this. Yeah. Although I don't know if I like that you can see the pores on my face. Anyway, here's more of Matt Walsh.
Social capital is to claim membership in the Alphabet Club. That's because LGBT people in the modern United States are not only not oppressed, but are in fact the least oppressed people to have ever walked the face of.
I forgot he said that. Oh man. Oh, tell me how much less oppressed they are than cis hetero white men. Oh my god. Oh my god. We might not actually get to the second video in this one, you guys, just because I'm already at 49 minutes and I still want to read you this book. So ridiculous. Matthew, please, for the love of God, read about privilege and the different types of privilege that exist, because straight privilege is a thing that exists. Couples privilege is a thing that exists. Just, God, I'm a very literal person, and I can understand nuance. His non-understanding of nuance is either pretend, which is very disingenuous and nasty, or it's real, and he just doesn't understand that other people exist. Other types of people exist. Like, you're not the standard, Matthew, that we should all measure ourselves by. There are so many other shades of normal that are fine, and people are allowed to live that way. You can dislike it, sure, but you don't have to actively use your platform of 2.15 million. That's just on YouTube. I don't know what's on his Twitter. I try to stay off of Twitter just because I'm already on several cesspools of the internet, and I don't need another one. Using your platform to degrade and be derisive, is that the right word? Anyway, using your platform to attack other people, this is an actual attack. By the way, this is what attack looks like. I know you're Catholic, Matthew, and Catholics, among lots of other Christians, have a persecution complex where they think they're being persecuted and they think they're being attacked. But really, it's just that to the privileged, equality feels like oppression. If you're up here and everybody else is down here, and all everybody's trying to do is bring everybody up here, then you're like, oh no, my platform is gone. No, you're still standing on it, dipshit. It's just other people are the same height as you now. I probably maxed out my mic on that one, sorry.
Of the planet. But what about actual asexual people? How?
This is where, okay. God. This is where he's mixing up asexual and aesexual.
How should we understand those people who really don't experience sexual attraction and who therefore can validly claim the label of it?
Valid. Holy shit, Matt, you have no credentials to determine what's valid or not. Also, you're not in anybody else's head, so you can't say what they think or experience or say is invalid. Nuh-uh.
Asexual. Well, I think there are a few things to keep in mind about this group. First of all, I'm extremely skeptical that most of the people that claim to be asexual are actually asexual.
Do we reproduce asexually? No. No, we don't. Do we experience little to no sexual attraction towards other people? Yes. And why? What purpose does it serve? He said social clout earlier to lie about being this way. Like, I don't know what social clout he thinks comes with being this way. But as far as I've seen, I haven't had any. I'm still awkward and weird and definitely still, like, there was a tweet about Gen Z didn't think millennials were cool anymore, or high schoolers or something, and the response was, joke's on you, because even when I was in high school, high schoolers didn't think I was cool. That's me. I'm not the cool one in any way, shape, or form. So I don't know what social clout I'm supposed to be getting, but if someone could let me know, that'd be great.
Okay, because somebody with a low sex drive is not asexual.
Yes, they are. By the actual definition that you read a few minutes ago, they are. asexual.
Someone who doesn't desire romantic relationships is not asexual.
Correct. That is an aromantic.
Keep in mind the left will always do everything it can to inflate.
There are plenty of people on the right who also feel this way, by the way, and who use these labels. There are people who fall under the GSM, gender, sexual minority, that voted for Trump. So this isn't an exclusively leftist thing. A lot of people are left-leaning, yeah, but that's because anybody in the U.S. political right, I will not try to speak for other countries of which I'm significantly less familiar than my own. It's because the U.S. political right actively tries to withdraw already granted rights.
The statistics for any of the identity groups that it invents. That's why the leftist group.
These are not invented. We've always existed. We're coming up with labels to help explain and differentiate nuance. Something that Matthew clearly does not understand.
The Trevor Project has a page on its website with information about asexuals where they stipulate that asexual people might still, quote, fall in love, experience arousal and orgasm, masturbate, and engage in sexual activity.
Yeah. And you know what? The Trevor Project, while I understand has some of its own issues, they would be more of an authority on this topic in terms of definitions than you, Matthew.
In other words, lots of people they call asexual are not at all, in any definitional sense of the term, really asexual.
False. This is where you're conflating asexual and asexual. And if you can understand the difference between there, and there, you should be able to understand the difference between asexual and asexual. Also 2, 2, and 2.
Most of them are
Which is which?
simply just selfish, lonely, depressed people.
Okay. Explain to me how someone with little to no sexual attraction is selfish. I don't understand that one. I don't get that. Is it because they're not going to possibly have kids? Because I have 3. And I'm ace. Demi-ace. Still ace. So there's that. How is it I will tell you. I mean, maybe I'll have my partner on to talk about it at some point. But for me, I don't have a ton of sexual experience. Okay, my total count is with the girls. So I don't have a ton of experience in sex, but I would like to think that my partners have all been pretty satisfied because I enjoy making my partners feel good. So selfishness comes in how?
With relatively normal libidos who have chosen asexual.
No. Libido is a separate thing. I actually have a high libido. I have a really high libido. And it has nothing to do with who I'm attracted to. Other than, like, whose bones I get to jump when they're in the mood.
Sexuality as their identity group in order to give some meaning to their self-centered existence.
Again, this is my life. I'm the main character of my life. So why can't I put labels on my life? I'm self-centered existence, says the man with a massive platform that's just him talking. I have 39 subs. Hi, 39 of you. I love that you're all here. If you're coming back, I should have said this at the beginning. Instead, I'm saying it an hour in. I have 39 subs, and I don't have a platform that is nearly as big as Matt's, and I'm more than fine with that. I do a lot of things daily that are not for myself. So try again.
Like most trendy modern identity groups, this one is, for the most part, just a cover for narcissism. It is a coping mechanism.
He's telling on himself again. Oh, man.
To cover up a character flaw, which is narcissism. But assuming that
it's covering him. Why would I pick this? To cover up Look, listen. If I was going to cover up narcissism with something, it would not be asexuality. Oh my God. That just shows you, like, how much he misunderstands this.
That there does exist a collection of people who truly, and through no fault of their own, have no sexual attraction, no desire for sex at all, no capacity for sexual arousal, etc., then we could say 2 things about this group. Number 1,
neither of these is going to be very flattering. Prepare yourselves.
It's almost certainly very small. It's not going to be anywhere near 1% or even half of 1%. Number 2, it's not an identity, least of all.
All right, the first one was fairly accurate in terms of, like, how many people don't feel any attraction or have any interest in sex. That number is probably small. I imagine it probably is because, again, asexuality is a spectrum and there are so many different flavors and nuances. Yeah, I mean, it probably is a small number.
A sexual identity, if you truly lack.
He seems to have a problem with people self-identifying for whatever reason. I don't know. I mean, my suspicion as far as why he does it is because it gets him the clicks and the views, because he's saying the quiet part out loud for what a lot of conservative people think and don't want to say out loud. So he's essentially the front man for their inside thoughts. And he's taking the punching, like he's taking the negative comments for instead of them. I forgot what my point was. Oh, identity. People can use whatever they want for their identity. I don't understand what your problem with it is.
Lack the ability to experience sexual attraction, then something has likely gone awry physiologically.
No! Ace spec people are not broken. There is nothing wrong. It's how we built. It's how we are built. It's how our brains function. It's how our bodies function in their natural state. We're not broken.
You have an issue that you might try to fix rather than making it into your whole personality.
This is the first time that I've had the flag as my background ever. I don't make it part of my personality. Maybe there are people that do. More power to them. That's fine. We could go into a whole other video maybe someday about making one thing our personality and being a very one-dimensional person and why that is less interesting to other people. That would be a discussion worth having maybe, but it's not something we're going to broad brush over a minority. We're not going to do it, Matthew. No, thank you.
Now, you shouldn't be ashamed. It's not your fault, but
that part's true. I can agree with that. You shouldn't be ashamed, and it isn't your fault.
You also shouldn't make your inability to experience sexual attraction into the centerpiece of your identity as a human being.
Again, we can have that conversation about making one thing the centerpiece of your identity. Mine's probably actually Star Wars, and I've been working on that. To have other aspects of my personality or my identity not revolve so much around Star Wars. Yeah. That's a different conversation, though.
Neither does it make sense to be proud of this inability. I mean, the only thing more...
It doesn't make sense to you because you're allosexual and you don't understand what it's like to be told you're broken. Like, you literally just said to us that we're broken. And we're not broken. And the pride is to elevate that conversation and awareness. We are proud of it. Some of us. I'm not going to broad brush an entire minority. But the whole point is awareness. And I was really, really happy when Target, this was last summer, I think. Is there a year on this? No. When last year or the year before, Target had their Pride line, and Ace stuff is very rarely shown in Pride merch. So I rarely actually see demisexual. The flag's a little different. There's a triangle bit on the side for demis, but yeah. So when I saw Ace merch, I totally picked it up, even though these aren't prescription and I can't wear them. We're proud of the fact that we're not broken.
Bizarre than marching around and claiming to be proud of your sexual attraction is marching around and claiming to be proud of your lack of sexual attraction.
Again, a lot in my experience, a lot of ace spec people and a lot of demis have a difficult time taking up space because if we're cis and or hetero, we do feel like we shouldn't take up that space that could be better served someone else because of privilege. Because a lot of us understand our straight privilege.
And that's why today, on Valentine's Day, I will not cancel all asexuals. They have enough to deal with, especially on a day like
So gracious of you, Matthew.
today. Instead, I'm specifically canceling these flag-waving asexuals, like those profiled by the Washington Post, especially the ones who have stuffed animals that they name.
Oh, shoot. Okay, so I didn't plan this, or I would have had these more available. This is pork chop. Pork chop is actually a sheep. My mom got pork chop, he's dusty, at her baby shower for me. And my dad named him because he thought it would be funny to name a sheep pork chop. This is Hoppy. Hoppy's actually a pillow. Again, something my mom got at her baby shower. And when I was little, Hoppy was my lovey. And Hoppy's had several repairs. I don't know if you can see the stitching, but also my mom sewed this on so that I could carry Hoppy around like a purse. So yeah, Hoppy had a matching yellow like gingham blanket, which is somewhere, and that was Hoppy blanket. So that's Hoppy, because a bunny goes hop, 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 hop. And then finally, we have Grogu, who's not coming out because of his green. Sorry. And my kids got this for me for Christmas. He's so cute. His arm moves. And he makes noise. And it's so cute. So, yeah, I've got stuffed animals, Matthew. What are you going to do about it?
They are all today canceled.
I'm canceled. That's right. I'm canceled by Matt Walsh. Oh, darn.
For this portion of the show, if you want to become a member, so you can watch the members block, become a member.
Oh, no, I definitely don't want to become a member. What we're going to do instead is we're going to read a book. Let me get Hoppy out of the way. We're not going to read this whole book because it is quite thick. This is You Know Sex by Corey Silverberg and Fiona Smith. They also have, it's hard to see, but award-winning What Makes a Baby and Sex is a Funny Word. I have these other two books as well. So these are the other two books are smaller and meant for children. Well, they're all meant for children, but they're meant for a younger age group. This one is more middle school and even probably like 7th and 8th grade, like right as you're hitting puberty. I'm probably going to give it to my 12-year-old soon. You can read the whole thing cover to cover. It's a thick read, though. I would probably more use it the way I'm going to use it now, and as a... Matt is staring at me because I left the other monitor up and I don't like it. There we go. Okay. And actually, I'm going to move it over here so that when I stare at myself, it's more to the camera. This is probably better as a resource to look things up in, which is how I'm going to look it up now. So since Matt is so fond of children's books, I thought I would read some parts to him. First up, we're going to talk about respect. And respect is acting in a way that shows care and consideration for yourself, for others, and for the planet. Everyone has their own ideas of how you show respect, but to be respectful, you have to notice that every body and every living thing is valuable. You have to know how people want to be treated and what matters to them. And you have to know the same for yourself. Sometimes respect means, here we go. Respect means speaking up and asking hard questions. Sometimes it means not talking, but listening and witnessing. Matthew, I'm sorry, let me tone down my input on my volume here. That should be a little bit better. With sex, respect means paying attention to your own feelings and to the feelings of others around you. It means learning about and practicing bodily autonomy. Oh, I love this too, because they also reference like the other parts in this book where they talk about the different things. So that's nice. And consent. Consent is huge. It means never using sex to make other people feel uncomfortable, pressured, or bad about themselves. Here's the thing, though. I will tweak that just a little bit for this case to mean intentionally. So, for example, if you're talking about asexuality and someone is uncomfortable, that's not necessarily you making them uncomfortable. That is their own discomfort that they need to address themselves. However, and this goes back to the consent thing. So if this is an in-person conversation and they have established they no longer wish to be a part of this conversation, that's something that you need to take into account, especially if it's the kind of thing where like they can't leave or if you're leading it or something. Like, don't pressure people to have conversations that they don't want to have. Now, if you're a YouTube video or YouTube content creator, you can do whatever you want on your channel within the terms and conditions of the site you're posting on. And if someone is uncomfortable, it's on them to navigate away. Next, we're going to talk about labels a little bit. I'm going to take this off. And then we're going to start over here because this is a good picture. Okay. Words like male and female, boy and girl are the first labels that people put on us, but not the last ones. We get labeled throughout our lives. Sometimes the words people put on us fit and feel right, and sometimes they don't. Is this difficult to understand, Matthew? I find it pretty easy. Okay, I'm going to have to read from up. There we go. When we choose words to describe a part of ourselves, we don't call them labels, we call them identities. So that self-description is what makes it a valid identity. Valid. Our identities relate to every part of who we are. The people and places we come from, how we move, communicate, our bodies, our religions or not, who we love, crush out on, have sex with, and live with. Look at all those different bodies. Our jobs. I love having sex worker represented right next to, I think that's supposed to be a teacher. Love that. Love that. And much more. Look at that. We've got a wrestler next to a herpetologist, possibly. Love it. I love it. Did I need to go to the next one? Oh, yeah. Here we go. Okay. Woo! Sorry for all of that. Okay. Our identities are connected to things that are important to us, things we care about. I'm so jelly. You have the best job. Oh yeah, changing litter boxes is my dream career. So see, like, this person is not understanding the nuance here. Okay. When we discover someone or a group of people who share things that are important, we might identify with them. Norwegian cats are my favorite. I love them too. Did you know they're excellent climbers? So the person from the first panel has found someone else who likes the thing just as much as she does. Look at all the cats in her room. Excuse me. Choosing a word to describe our identity is a way of showing ourselves and others that part of us is meaningful. So when we self-identify or self-label, we're saying that is a meaningful thing to us. It's special to us. Interesting. So it looks like this person's being asked, what's your cat's name? And this person is saying, my mom's allergic, so I'm a cat person, but don't have any cats of my own. And that's fine. That's valid. I'm allergic and I have cats. I just deal. Okay. There we go. Okay. Your gender identity describes how you think and feel about yourself, and how you want others to think and feel about you when it comes to masculinity and femininity. There isn't one complete list of gender identities. Huh, interesting. Seems like maybe Matt's kind of wrong about that one. Every community has its own words for gender and for people who are inside, outside, and between the binary. On the next 2 pages, you'll find definitions of some gender identities. You may use one or more than one of these terms. You may use a term that isn't here. There may not be a term yet for the way you feel. It goes into a whole bunch of different things. Okay, so I'm not going to go through like this entire list, but you can pause it and read if you want to, or buy the book, support the author. There you go. So you can pause it there and read those. And then next we get into pronouns. I know this is Matt's favorite. Check that out. I need water. Pronouns are the short words that fill in for the name of a person, place, or thing. If we see someone who we think looks like a boy, most of us say he. If we see someone who we think looks like a girl, most of us say she. Oh, I was out of the picture there. Sorry. Let's see. We choose he or she based on what people look like on the outside. When we call someone he or she, we're also assuming we know their gender, but we can't know someone's gender just from their outside. We can't know unless they tell us. Then we have all these pretty examples of different pronouns. When we guess at someone's gender, sometimes we get it wrong. And when we only use he or she, we ignore everyone else or act like they don't even exist. It's also like forcing them into something that they don't want, which goes into consent too, by the way. Just like you get to choose which gender identities fit you best, you get to choose which pronouns you would like people to use, even if you've been called by one pronoun your whole life. You may know that it doesn't fit and want people to use a different pronoun. One way we can show respect is by paying attention to the words people use for themselves and using those words, not the words we think they should use. When we call someone by a pronoun that doesn't fit for them, it's called misgendering. When we don't know what pronouns or words someone uses for themselves, the easiest way to be respectful is to use their name. Some people use they as a gender-neutral pronoun if they don't know what pronouns a person uses. Here, this one I think is also important because it shows the responsible way to handle if you have made a mistake, and especially if you've been called out for making a mistake. So, what if I make a mistake? We make assumptions about gender all the time. We assume someone is one gender and call them she or he, even though that person may call themselves something else. Making mistakes is human. When it happens, we can apologize, move on, and try not to make the same mistake again. If you call someone the wrong name and they correct you, chances are you wouldn't keep calling them by the wrong name. You would stop, then use their name. It can be the same with pronouns. Pretending we didn't make a mistake is worse than giving a quick sorry because it can feel to the person as if they're the one who did something wrong. Taking responsibility for learning and getting it right is a way of supporting other people in being who they are. Then they go, there's more about apologizing on 383. I especially like this because it's an adult apologizing to a child. And I think that's something that doesn't happen enough in today's culture. Oh, here we go. This one is more about definitions. I'm not going to read the whole thing here, but I do want to point out the first sentence there. The traditional definitions like gay, straight, and bisexual work for some, but not all of us. So, that's why there's a need for more definitions. Feel free to pause and read here, or again, you can buy the book. I do also want to point out what biases are, Matthew. Learning to listen to your instincts is something that you can do to keep yourself and the people in your life safe. It's a skill to be proud of, but not every feeling we have about other people comes from inside us. Some of those feelings are things we learned. The way we look at people and judge them to be safe or dangerous has a lot to do with the discrimination we talked about in the body autonomy chapter. So they did talk about this already. I picked this page because it was a little bit more about bias than anything. Some people are treated as suspicious because of their race, what they look like, their size, how they talk, how easily they fit into the gender, boxes of man or woman, and more. When we hold negative beliefs about certain kinds of people because we've been raised to believe them, it's called bias. Being scared of someone because we've been taught they look dangerous is an example of bias. So if we get a bad feeling about someone, how do we know it's because of bias or because they want to harm us? There's no simple answer. See previous section on apologies. We need to pay attention and listen to all of our feelings. And we need to be open to asking ourselves why we feel the way we do. Over time, we can learn the difference between what trust and bias feels like in our bodies. So I bring up this one. The book has multiple references to what in the glossary they've labeled as shame. And really, this is kind of the better one, and it's called stigma. And I bring this up because if you haven't felt stigma for something about yourself you can't control, this is a difficult concept to get. And I understand if you've never felt shame about the way your body functions, why something like this might be hard for you to believe exists. And that's why I wanted to bring it up here. So I'm gonna... There we go. You can read that later. Or now, however you want to do it. I actually want to skip forwards to power. Because Matt has a very large platform. And he has a lot of power with that platform. So our touch is powerful. Our words are powerful. Our imagination is powerful. There we go. Every day we can choose how to use our power. We can use our power to connect ourselves to other people. And we can use our power to separate ourselves from other people. So we have some positive examples of power and some negative examples of use of power. When we use our powers in ways that hurt other people, it's called violence. We may not think we're hurting someone, but if it causes harm and pain, it might be a kind of violence. Most of us know about physical violence, being hit or shot or hurt in an accident, but violence isn't always physical. People can talk to us in ways that are violent, even when they aren't talking directly to us. There can be violence in the way someone talks about people we care about. Violence isn't just something individuals do to each other. Institutions like schools, hospitals, or governments can be violent. Power is not a good or bad thing, but it's part of every interaction we have, which means that every time we interact with people, we can pay attention to where the power is and what choices we are making about how to use our power. Because sex is about interacting, sex has a lot to do with power. Sex can be a way of sharing your power with someone and letting them share their power with you. So then there's some good questions about power. So something to think about later. And then I also specifically wanted to look over these with regards to harassment and bullying. Who has heard the word harassment? Most of the class has. What do you think about when you hear that word? It's when people are bugging you and won't quit. It's like when someone threatens or pushes you. It's like bullying. And you'd know it if it ever happened to you, which I'm sure it hasn't. There's this kid. This kid would have been me if I wasn't homeschooled. Mr. C, I found 11 different definitions of harassment. 11 is a lot, Omar. Let's start with 1. That was me. Okay, so here we go. This is harassment is when someone says or does something to us that is unwanted and impacts us in a seriously negative way. The word harassment doesn't just describe what happens, it describes why it happens. It's harassment when we are targeted because of something to do with who we are, like the color of our skin, our gender, what our body looks like, how we dress, the community we come from, how much money our family has, some combination of those things or something else about who we are. If it happens once, we don't usually call that harassment. Harassment is when it happens more than once, and when what happens leaves us feeling uncomfortable or unsafe. Harassment can be verbal or nonverbal. It can happen in person, by text, or online. The person doing the harassing might not think they're harassing us. They may think they're being funny, or they might think they have a right to treat us badly because of who we are. Even though they are doing the harassing, they may think we're the problem. There we go. People who are harassing us may say they were just joking, but harassment isn't only about what they did. It's about how it left us feeling. Let's use an example of throwing a ball. Could throwing a ball be a form of harassment? The answer is no if you throw a ball at someone who wants you to throw it and is waiting for it. But what if you throw a ball at the same person when they're walking into class without asking or telling them you're going to do it? What if you do it every day? Then you aren't just throwing a ball. Even if you were trying to be funny or playful, if you don't ask, and if the effect is that the person feels stared at, laughed at, or hurt, physically or emotionally, then throwing the ball could be harassment. When someone else's behavior makes it harder for us to live our lives the way we want, it might be harassment. If we change our routine, like skipping class or avoiding hanging out in a place we used to like, it might be harassment. Like other kinds of violence, harassment is a cycle. If we're being harassed, it's hard to imagine it ever stopping. And it's hard to have energy to change things when we're just trying to make it through the day. And then this kid says, it sounds like you're describing life in the 7th grade. Poor kid. Good point, Cooper. Adults can forget how hard it is to survive being a kid. And you're right, a lot of what happens in the halls and outside of school could be considered harassment. But just because it happens a lot doesn't make it okay. Harassment is bad for everyone. If we want it to stop, we have to think about everyone involved. The person being hurt, the person who is hurting them, and the rest of us who are either witnessing it and not doing anything, or not even noticing that it's happening. I want everyone to take out a piece of paper and write down what you would do or think you would do if you witnessed someone being harassed or if you were being harassed. And so then they give some examples, and then there's some questions. And then the real thing I wanted to get to here is how to apologize, but also be held accountable. So I'm going to hold that one up. You can pause it for being accountable, and then there's how to apologize. And you can do that. The big thing I want to point out here is changing your behavior. It's not a very good apology if all you do is say sorry, but then keep on doing the same thing. The other thing is acknowledging what you did and that you know it caused harm. So there's that. And then, go back. I'm going to turn and go back there. Yes. Okay, so this was a long one. And I will do a separate recording for the other reaction to his other video. So yeah, thanks for sticking with me. I know it's been a minute since I posted a video. This is probably kind of going to be more of a, as I have spoons and I find something that I want to rant about type situation. And it's really more of a hobby for me. I'm not trying to get to the point where this is going to be my day job, because if I had to quit my day job to take on a hobby as a job, it would be knitting and it wouldn't be YouTube. So yeah, thanks for joining me today. I'll see you in the next one. Have a good rest of your day or night whenever you're watching this, and please, please, please be kind humans. Bye.